Hey, noble ones, welcome back to my channel. This is the Metatron speaking, and we've got massive news. So, if you spend even 15 minutes on X today, you will be inundated by this declaration of peace, sort of, well, ceasefire agreement. We'll go into it, and a deal proposed by President Donald Trump when it comes to the war between Israel and Hamas that is occurring in Gaza. I'm very interested in this because honestly, I hope that there is some kind of ceasefire. I hope that people stop dying. Of course, when I say people, I mean the innocents. But in general, this would be a fantastic news. I made my own posts on X, which are a little provocative. We'll read them in a minute. But first, apart from X, we've got this. Apparently CNN talked about it, and honestly, I'm always interested in see how CNN approaches things because they lie. But in general, in this case, I'm actually very curious because here is the thing. People have been pushing for the idea of supporting Palestine, a million flags everywhere. We know that. So clearly, reaching a ceasefire would be a fantastic thing from the point of view of the majority of left-wing people on the planet, right? People on the right that also want a ceasefire, but I'm saying specifically, I'm interested in left-wingers who want a ceasefire because the thing is, it seems like they did get it, but they did get it through Trump. So how is this? This is going to be like some kind of short circuit. I'm really interested to see how they get now. What are they going to say about it? Let's check it out.
We do begin with breaking news just a few seconds ago. Here. President Trump has announced Israel and Hamas have signed off on what he is calling the first phase of his peace plan. Okay. Trump making the announcement on his own social media site, writing in part, quote, "This means that all of the hostages will be released very soon, and Israel will withdraw their troops to an agreed upon line as the first steps toward a strong, durable, and everlasting peace."
Well, that's fantastic news, right? Even the fact that the hostages as well. I mean, of course, when there is a war, there are major casualties. We tend to focus on those. But then again, I like to put myself in the shoes of all people who are suffering, regardless of where they're from and whatnot. And you have to imagine this. Hostages going home. Imagine if that was your son or your daughter. I mean, this is something we should celebrate, both for the hostages and for the innocents that are always claimed during any conflict, regardless of the geopolitical underpinnings of said conflicts.
Now, if this holds, it would bring the 2-year conflict between Hamas in Gaza and Israel to an end.
Fantastic.
Kristen Holmes is out front live outside the White House, and Jeremy Diamond is in Tel Aviv live for us early in these hours.
Man, that's some beautiful depth of field right there. Bokeh effect. Love it.
Thursday morning. I want to start with you, Kristen. What are you learning?
Yeah, this is what the administration has been working towards since Donald Trump took office for the second time. This first part of this peace deal. Now, of course, to keep in mind, this was a 20-point peace deal. And right now, we're looking at two of the key components, this idea of a ceasefire and withdrawal of Israeli troops.
Okay, so ceasefire, withdrawal of Israeli troops, return of the hostages. I guess that's like the first 3 points. Let me put myself in the middle.
As well as the hostage negotiation and getting the hostages back. That would be in exchange for Palestinian prisoners that are currently being held in Israel, something
fair
that we know Hamas almost immediately agreed to when they were looking at that plan. But we also know that Hamas has a number of other sticking points, as does Israel. Things that were listed in this peace plan included things like Palestinian statehood, which the Israeli prime minister has said is an absolute red line. But clearly this is the first...
That's going to be difficult, isn't it?
First phase of all of this, and it is something that his team has been working on. It comes nearly 2 hours after we saw Marco Rubio, the Secretary of State, walk into a room where President Trump was doing sort of a panel talking to various cabinet officials about Antifa, and handed him a note that said, "We're very close, and we need you to look at a Truth Social or draft a Truth Social so you can be the first one to announce it." Clearly, President Trump was the first one to announce it, and this is something that both sides wanted. We didn't hear it from Israel. We didn't hear it from Hamas. All we heard was from President Trump putting it out there. So what exactly this looks like? Well, there's still going to be a lot of questions. We know there are roughly 20 living hostages. We also know they're going to be returning the dead hostages as well.
That's so horrible that they actually killed the hostages.
We also know that this idea of Israeli withdrawal of troops, what does that look like? Is that everybody? What kind of withdrawal? What does the timeline look like? One of the things to keep in mind when you looked at that 20-point plan was that they said both sides had to agree on the timeline of withdrawal.
And I mean, she just said it, there is a territorial element to it. They said there is a red line. So we'll have to hope that red line is agreed upon. With that being said, ceasefire is fantastic news.
We still don't know what that actually is, but this right here is the first phase that they are announcing in this peace deal, saying talks are going to be ongoing.
All right, Kristen, thank you very much. And Jeremy, obviously the first phase is significant, but when talks are ongoing and things like Palestinian statehood are still hanging in the balance, obviously that can mean everything. What are you learning?
Yeah, I just need to underscore what an enormous moment this is for so many people in this region, for the people of Gaza who have endured 2 years of war, for the families of these 48 remaining hostages who have endured 2 years of absolute agony.
I would like to underline, rather than saying the people in Gaza, can we actually be precise with vocabulary? The innocent Palestinians who have endured this war. Hamas!
This is a watershed moment. President Trump announcing that the first phase of this plan will indeed move forward, and that means the release of all of these hostages, an initial withdrawal of Israeli troops within the Gaza Strip, and ultimately what we have to think and believe based off of the president's tweet is that Hamas may have received some assurances about this actually leading to an end of the war. Every single source that I've been speaking with over the
end of the war is a phenomenal, remarkable achievement of the administration. Whether you hate them or love them, this should be something that we, at a human level, should be able to say. Because at the end of the day, let's just keep this in mind, because I know the people are already saying, oh yeah, but Trump has been sending millions and billions and lots of old money and missiles to Israel. Right, and so has Biden. Like, it's not even a left or right thing. It's America constantly supports Israel for tactical reasons. Definitely for tactical reasons. Now, if there is anything beyond that, we are civilians, we haven't got a clue. Obviously, people who are geopolitical analysts will be able to provide more commentary. But at this moment, it's really relevant because what we really want at a human level is to recognize the fact that if this administration manages to put an end to the war and actually have a ceasefire that really lasts, innocent people stop dying like flies, you have to admit that that is a enormous achievement. I mean, they're saying it even a freaking CNN. I'm surprised. I'll be honest with you guys. Okay? I'll be honest with you. I'll be straight with you. I was expecting. Never happened. Not true. No. Trump didn't say it. That's what I was expecting. Why was I expecting that? Well, because of course, when they tried to assassinate President Trump, they literally wrote, and I read it with my own eyes, they wrote, no, he just tripped and hit his head. CNN. Professional journalism. Then, when there was the assassination of Charlie Kirk, CNN said, no, it was just a fan who was shooting in celebration and hit him in the neck by mistake. Like, they are professional liars. So I'll be honest with you, I was expecting them. So I'm pleasantly surprised that they are admitting that this is a very big achievement when it comes to President Trump and his administration. Now, we're almost done. Let's finish this off, just to make sure they don't say something at the end that maybe I spoke too soon. But then I have something else to show you, of course.
Course of the last week has emphasized that the only scenario in which Hamas would actually agree to give up, to release these 48 hostages, without a total agreement on this 20-point plan would be if they received some kinds of assurances from the United States, from the mediating countries, that these negotiations that will follow the implementation of this first phase of this agreement, that they will actually lead to an end of this 2-year war. And so we're already getting reports of celebratory gunfire in Gaza. The Hostages and Missing Families Forum has just put out a statement acknowledging the enormity of this moment for the families of those hostages.
Yeah, you see, he's saying enormity of this moment for the families of the hostages. Exactly. Credit where credit is due. This is coming from a hater of CNN, a hater of, I can't stand them. But credit where credit is due. They are reporting it with the correct focus. I appreciate that. I'm going to say, still hate them. But I will say,
who have waited so long, who were waiting with bated breath tonight, as so many Israelis were as well tonight. And also a message from the Israeli Prime Minister just released from his office saying, quote, "With God's help, we will bring them all home." Now, there are a number of questions as well. How quickly will the release of these hostages happen? Remember in that 20-point plan that the president released last week, it said 72 hours from...
I was going to say, because that's one thing I did read. Yeah, it's a 72 hours of agreed upon ceasefire, which kind of makes me a little nervous, I'll be honest with you, because what happens after the 72 hours? Anyways, I think the release of the hostages is going to happen within this time bracket. It just makes sense. Because it's an exchange, right? It's an exchange. Palestinian for Israeli and maybe international, right? Among the hostages, possibly. So I think that's something that will happen. Now, whether or not the ceasefire will continue, we'll have to see. But to be honest, if we want to try and examine how President Trump did this, I personally think, and this is just my opinion, again, I'm not an expert on the topic, so I'm kind of stepping out a little bit my comfort zone when it comes to this. So if I say something wrong and you know more than me, rather than calling me names and call me a grifter, just tell me, explain it to me, be decent and explain it to me. But here's what I'm going to say. I think that the reason why this deal appears to be more solid, and there is a higher likelihood, not automatic, not guaranteed, but there is a higher likelihood that this time they will listen, both Hamas and Israel, is because President Trump did show an iron fist when it comes to Iran. He did freaking bomb them, and with incredible precision, professional pilots, like the American military did a demonstration of strength. And historically, demonstrations of strength or military force, prowess, are a tactical move. It is one of the reasons why America, among other things, America nuked Japan. It was as a demonstration of strength to the USSR, among other things. So maybe it is possible that after that move, the administration has gained a higher degree of influence over the Middle East. Maybe. We'll see.
In the moment of agreement, a process will also need to unfold in Israel. This deal will have to come before the Israeli cabinet for a vote in order to move forward with the release of these hostages, as well as the release of the Palestinian prisoners held in Israeli prisons who will be released in exchange for them. But once again, an enormous moment and one that many in this region hope will be a turning point. And I can tell you that there is a sigh of...
Was that intentional? Was that intentional?
And celebrations already underway.
Okay, well, CNN reported it right.
Here.
You know who didn't report it right, to my knowledge? You know who? Freaking Reddit. Silent. Radio silence. Why isn't the Gaza ceasefire massive news on Reddit? For the last 2 years, the Israel-Palestine conflict has dominated the news cycle, and somehow it's legit silent when the ceasefire finally happens. Shouldn't there be hugely popular mega threads about this? Well, what did you expect? Well, I mean, what did you expect? Redditors to actually care about, you know, Palestine this, Palestine that, then there is a ceasefire and no one says anything. Why? Because Trump did it? Disgusting. That's all. As the majority, like the only Redditors that are fine are the IT. You know, when you get IT guides, how do you fix my computer? They're lovely. They're lovely. Beautiful subreddits. And maybe a couple of other, like Ask Historian, usually is okay, depending. So I made my own post about this, guys. I made my own post. I'm going to show you. Because, of course, this is really what we are expecting now for obvious reasons. Like Free Palestine and all of that just did it and is angry about it. Right? I'm not saying that every leftist is going to be like this, but I do believe there is going to be a split. So this is what I posted about it on X. You'll find a link in the description. This is a great moment for further mask off on the radical left. If this deal goes through and the war in Gaza actually ends, we should see one of two things. One, leftists rejoice, and we'll have to admit Trump did a good thing and hope the deal goes through. Two, leftists will refuse to accept what Trump did is a good thing, and in fact will hope the deal doesn't go through. Now, we can't read their minds, but knowing the kind of scum that has been going after me, Asmongold, and every person who isn't a radical leftist for the last, 5 years, 6 years of complete, total, utter, unjust persecution that we have all received. Many of you can relate, I know. Yeah, I mean, that's exactly it. They don't care. They just want to hate. So that's the thing. And I said I'm expecting a lot of line 2, not all of course, but a lot. Anyone who uses the second line will finally show they never actually cared for the people in Palestine and were only using it as a way to push their sick agendas. I, for one, am a line 1. Let's hope this war ends. So this was what I had to say about it at a human level. And since, we're kind of browsing through my beautiful X account on X, I also made this post, which is very relevant, and I'm going to share it with you. The average Redditor Blue Sky user who complains about your bigotry. That's objectively, like, this is finally, I'm showing you what a lot of Redditors and Blue Sky users actually look like. Now, I noticed that there are some people already talking about Israel breaking the ceasefire, but for what I could see, you'll correct me if I'm wrong, those were misreports. And in fact, I've seen, definitely I saw 2 reports, I don't know all, but definitely I saw 2 reports that were using footage from the previous time that Israel did ignore a ceasefire, the way I understand it, and they were using it now to try and take away from Trump's victory, in this case, if he does manage this. And that tells you a lot, right? That tells you really all you need to know about the sick, disgusting mind of people who think this way, which are the same people that laughed at Charlie Kirk's death. Make no mistake, these are the exact same people, which are horrendous people anyways. 15 hours ago, Israeli military says ceasefire takes effect in Gaza. Ceasefire between Israel and Hamas came into effect in Gaza on Friday. The military said hours after Israel's cabinet approved a deal to pause the, conflict, war, whatever it is. Okay, well, let's keep an eye on this. I'm going to continue checking out the developments, and if there is any any breaking news, gosh, hope not. I think they're positive. Okay, let's see if we can have some positive breaking news. And as always, this is always my position, and I said it at the very beginning of the conflict. My heart goes to the innocents, regardless of them being Israeli or Palestinian. I don't care. I only care about the innocents. When it comes to military personnel, that's what they do. It's a war, so it is what it is. And I definitely have no sympathy for Hamas. With that being said, thank you for watching. See you tomorrow. If you appreciate my content so far and wish to help ensure my ability to continue to tell it how it is, regardless of any possible backlash, please support this channel on Patreon. Any support helps me and my team of academics keep the channel strong and gives us the means to fight back against the political rewriting of history. Stand with us, form the wall, defend the truth.